There was a lot to deal, but at least they were finally together. One. Things were a disaster. Bodies were beginning to pile, and the halls were slippery with blood. You know, perfectly normal for high school. Two friends, Chris and Johnny B. Oh, hi, two random characters that I hope weren't two people who asked to be in this piece of shit. Were with Mandy trying to enter Falcon's office headquarters through a secret door in the underground of the school. Too bad that Falcon knew the school too and rigged it with mines. Rigging a school with mines. Just let that sink in for a second. Yeah, because, you know, that happens in real life, right? I mean, sure, there are tragedies and shootings that happen in schools, but students rigging the entire place with mines? Yeah! Really common! It happens all the time! Unfortunately for Mandy, she exulted as her body was derailed by explosives. That sentence, in terms of syntax, it may be one of the worst in this entire fanfiction. I mean, she just put the there in the middle of the sentence and then steered the sentence in another direction completely. I've said it before, but just because it's the last chapter doesn't mean she's getting better. In fact, she's inventing new ways to suck at this point. John and Chris felt sorry for their loss, but they knew this was the price of war, and that if they didn't stop Falcon's inflation... So suddenly, Captain Falcon starts costing more and more as time goes by. Is that what you're trying to say? It would just get higher. In another part of the battlefront, Samus and Ridley were using their new armor powers to do serious damage to the enemy bodies. To the dead bodies, because, you know, there are threats that are still alive, but fuck that! We're beating up on dead bodies! Ted, Robbie, Smiley, and the hard-broke Tijuan were also contributing to the death toll, and it seemed that the tide was beginning to rise for the better. That was until an old enemy appeared, this time for the finals. Well, we meet again, crowned Kraid and his goons. You think you can win this war? You'll have to go through us. It's time to reveal the gang. Everyone was shocked as the true identities were revealed of Kraid's gang members: Silex, Noxus, Candon, Weevil, and Spire. So, hold on a second there. Were Kraid's gang members in, like, masks or something the entire time? And how come nobody, aside from Kraid and the gang members themselves, I guess, how come nobody was aware of that to start with? It's just so convoluted. It doesn't work like that. Sorry, my brain is just starting to melt down. I know my sanity's been gone for a while now, but my brain itself cannot handle the amount of nonsense that she's throwing at me this chapter. Oh, God! Can't wait for it to be over. The gang war began as Samus, Ridley, Tio, Ted, Smiley, and Robbie got into place to fight the enemies. Ted lunged at Noxus and shanked at him, but Silex was quick to notice and shot Ted in the foot. Both gangbangers! Whoa there! That escalated quickly. That's not what a gangbang is. I mean, she's 14. At this point, she should have a pretty good idea what gangbang means, but then again, she seems to be so ignorant about everything else that it wouldn't surprise me. Both gangbangers were ended, though, when Tijuan saved Ted's ass by firing Mexican machine guns. Mexico makes machine guns? At them, killing them in the head. Don't you mean that he shot them in the head, killing them? Because killing them in the head, that's sort of like what you are right now. You're living, you're doing stuff, but in your head, there's just nothing going on. Psylocke transformed into a machine gun turret and took out Robbie and part of Smiley. Yeah, only part of Smiley. And also, I don't know about the transformation into a machine gun turret thing because I've never played Metroid Prime Hunters. But I don't think, from what I've read, that it's something that he can do. So, once again, has she ever played a Metroid game? But Samus was quick to the draw and fired a super missile, vaporizing both Silas and Noxus. This did not make Canon happy, and the two ex-presidents battled it out. As usual, though, Samus ended up on top and shot electro powers into his brainstem. She can do that? That left just Ridley and Kraid. You might have won the gang war, but what about this? Kraid injected Enzytes in his arm as he began to grow massive? Enzytes? Really? Now, I don't know if everyone here knows this, if it's something that's common knowledge or that not everyone knows, but you know what Enzyte is? It's a penis enlargement medicine thing. So basically, Kraid just used something to enlarge his penis, and then, well, it would have been hilarious if this was actually properly written, and instead of just growing massive, Kraid just grew a gigantic cock or something like that. At least the mental image I find to be particularly amusing, but, good lord. But anyway, the fact that he is growing massive suggests that this was when Kraid became as huge as he was depicted to be in Zero Mission as well as Super Metroid. And you know, I don't know if she had this planned out from the start, but I'm going to say that no. She just screwed up. She just probably realized at some point that, oh shit, the games are making Kraid out to be this gigantic behemoth of death. So the fact that she never said anything about it in the fanfic would mean that it would be the explanation. But I just like my explanation better. She just completely fucked up, and the end result would be that Kraid went from being 15 stories tall to being 50 stories tall, or something like that. At least that's how I'm going to look at it, because it's much more entertaining that way. There was a hole in the ceiling when Kraid stopped getting bigger, and he started to stomp on students, and even Ridley. Oh boy, look, it's that joke I made in Chapter 6 about Kraid stomping on opposing football players. I have you in my foot! Kraid soliloqued. Close enough, it's soliloquied, and I think it was actually used in the proper context otherwise. So, I don't know, this just might be a trollfic in the end, in that she sometimes knows how to write, but most of the time not. Either that, or she's just taking constant shots in the dark, and with the amount of shots in the dark that she's taking, occasionally she's going to get something right. Once again, I'm going to assume that it's that. Okay, Kraid soliloqued as he was about to step on Ridley's face, but sinners! Mother Brain decloaked from her nun clothes and unleashed her Swiss Guard. That's the Pope Army. Again, something that's somewhat accurate. Of course, the Swiss Guard can refer to something else, but I assume she's referring to the Pontifical Swiss Guard, which is effectively, well, not really the Pope Army, but his bodyguards or stuff like that. Okay, anyway, and unleashed her Swiss Guard hand training at Kraid and the Key Hunters. This gave Ridley just enough time to shoot his eye lasers at Kraid's foot. Did Ridley ever have eye lasers in any of his incarnations? Knocking the evil over. Uh-oh, the Grand Wizard? Suddenly he's a wizard? The Grand Wizard rapped? So he's a wizard rapper? I don't know either, but it was too late. "Fuck you in hell!" chanted Ridley, and stuck his suit's robo-tail in Kraid's face. It was a lot of blood, but at least the score was settled. 1-1. The war was ready to wrap up, but there was one last issue: the imposter president. Samus and her remaining allies were finally able to break into his office fortress. A fortress inside high school. You know, perfectly normal occurrence. Going somewhere, there was a voice, and as they turned around down the hall, zoomed a race car that was armed like the Batman car in The Dark Knight. She does not even know what Batman's car is named. That is just sad. That and just The Dark Knight? How about since the fricking beginning of time? The Batmobile, Jesus Christ, has been around forever. So she's taking a dump all over various franchises at this point. Not just Metroid, but F-Zero and Batman. We've also seen wrong references to Star Wars, Star Trek, possibly the Bourne series as well. Anyway, Captain Falcon, Samus and co. condoled, but there was little use. Samus tried her powerful missiles at the car, but they just bounced off the hood and blew the doors off classrooms. So we're still inside the school? How do you manage to handle a race car inside a school? Especially one that goes as fast as, I don't know if it's supposed to be the Blue Falcon, but since race cars are, well, even just a low-end race car, it's still a race car. It's supposed to be pretty fast and pretty difficult to handle in the narrow hallways of a high school. Exposing the children. Ridley used his mecha suit powers to try to stomp the car, but Captain was too fast with his driving and dodged. His turn. Let's see who's the real president now, bitch! Captain Falcon bellowed the car intercom and used his presidential codes to arm the rocket tube with a mini nuke. You know, happens all the time in high schools. Nukes. Yeah, you never heard of that? They all got nukes in high schools in North Korea. When it fired, everyone was sure that this was the end of Samus, but just in time her boyfriend jumped in front of the missile and took the blast himself. Luckily, his suit was radiation resistant. Unfortunately, the nuke blast damaged it beyond repair. It's not just about being radiation resistant. He was at ground zero of a fucking nuke explosion. It's amazing that the only effects of this nuke was taking Ridley and Samus down and just damaging the suit of Ridley. Because, okay, sure, it's a mini nuke, but even a mini nuke would turn everything into a parking lot for miles. So, yeah, how is everything not destroyed unless it was really a mini nuke, like the size of, I don't know, of a pencil? But even that should have a... I'm not really in the know as to how powerful nukes are, but even there, that would still blow up pretty bad if you had a nuke that was the size of a pencil. Probably. As I said, I don't claim to have any knowledge in the area, but my point still stands. It should have done a whole lot more. Ridley was down, and so was Samus. Ha ha ha! My ride is indestructible! Falcon bandstanted. There isn't a single weapon on Earth that can defeat my juggernog hut.